Welcome to Brave Conversations. Today I'm going to be chatting to Sylvester Chauke, who is the Chief Brand Architect for DNA Brand Architects. He is a multi-award winning businessman and entrepreneur, and today he has very kindly agreed to share his brave story with us. So Sylvester, just explain to our viewers at home, what is a brand architect? What does that entail?
A brand architect obviously is a professional that works with brands to allow brands to build strong relationships with the consumers so that people are buying more to the brand than just buying to the product.
Okay, so let's start at the very beginning. I mean, this is Brave Conversations. So
Yes.
Let's start at the very beginning.
Always at the beginning!
So a lot of bravery was obviously involved in the process of getting to where you are now. So let's hear a little bit more about young Sylvester. What were some of the hurdles and what were some of the braver things that you had to go through growing up?
Geez, I think when I think about the young Sylvester, I get emotional because it's amazing now looking back how everything made sense, you know. When I was young, I was always like a misfit. Always, pretty much, I knew that I was different. And I think my community and particularly young boys in my community made it very clear that I was very different. But I had to find my own comfort spaces, dancing, you know, reading, and hanging around with a lot of my girlfriends, you know, at the time playing sort of girly sports, so to speak.
Did you eventually come to terms with being different in your sexual orientation in comparison to a community that might not necessarily have been so open-minded about it?
I think there has been a number of things. One, my family was very helpful, because I think one of the biggest things growing up is that I always want to make sure that my family, at least, they kind of think I'm cool, you know. And I was very blessed because my family I never felt like I needed to be anything different. So that was a strong sense of belonging, which was very helpful.
Now, as a fully fledged adult who is, by many people's standards, living the dream and being very successful, what are your views of what we should be doing as LGBTQI individuals when things start going well and when we start getting recognized in society? How do you feel about your role as an LGBTQI person?
That's a good question. I think it's very important that the community is seen as like the rest of the community, you know, and I often feel a strong sense of discomfort when it's always exclusionary, or we have to be treated differently, or we have to be treated a little bit more special. And I think that's not really, doesn't do much of a good job of trying to integrate us into society, because I think that should not ever be who you are. You know what I mean? Or how society is going to see you based on your sexuality. It's just one aspect of it.
When you look to the future, what kind of future do you hope for in your heart for men who have sex with men, or MSM? So, you know, some people don't identify as gay, but they do have sex with men, and other men, like myself, are quite happy to be using the label gay. But when you look to the future, what do you hope for the MSM?
I think diversity is a big opportunity, because across, not just you know, MSM, or even just across the globe in general, in terms of being able to be comfortable and accept diversity from sort of race, sex orientation, community background orientation, that sort of thing, is a key area that we need to be playing with across as a globe. Even in my continent, you know, on the continent, it's challenging for a lot of homosexual relationships or LGBTI community to even just exist is a huge challenge. So if we could just be able to encourage and inspire the rest of the continent outside of South Africa to be able to accept diversity in sexual orientation, or at least be able to let us be, it would be quite an amazing step.
And lastly, for any young person watching you now who sees this massive divide between where they currently are and where you currently are, what advice would you give to another young Sylvester who might be watching this, someone who aspires to one day achieve what you've achieved, what would you say to that person to encourage them?
I think if I look back just on the page of my diaries, there's a lot of anxiety that you go through as a young person, accepting your sexuality, even being comfortable with it, never mind being comfortable outside of it, as an individual. But I think my advice is that the anxiety does get better. You are able to overcome it with time, and just being patient with yourself, and just make sure that you keep yourself safe, in that space, and understand that it's just a process that you are going to morph out of. And I think if I could go back, I think I'd tell little Sly that, because I think he was so stressed out about just being that actually maybe he would walk the streets with a lot more pride if he knew that it was going to get better. So it is going to get better. Just protect yourself, and of course surround yourself with people who can allow you to be yourself.
Sylvester, thank you so much, and thank you to young Sly for his advice as well.
It's so cute. It's just like, oh my God.
And we
It's a
wish you
pleasure.
all the best for the future. Thank you for sharing
so very
your great
much.
conversation.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.